I want you guys to watch this video. It is a conversation between Dr. Jordan Peterson and Piers Morgan. Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist from Canada, while Piers Morgan is a journalist with Sky News. So, watch.
By asking for his view on Vladimir Putin as a man.
Well, he's a lot more like everybody else than anyone thinks. You know, the notion that he's Hitler or Stalin, that's just foolish. I don't see any evidence for that at all. I mean, first of all, Hitler and Stalin were very singular types, and there's a bit of Hitler and Stalin in everyone, so, you know, there's some truth in that. Maybe there's more in the typical Russian leader
than normal. A bit of Hitler
normal.
in everyone? Really?
There's more than a bit.
Dr. Jordan Peterson is one of the world's most famous psychologists. In fact, he has changed the lives of many people around the world. He also has a YouTube channel and he has written many books. So if you have the time, you can check out his channel. He has so much to say and he is very, very inspirational. I believe if you listen to what he is saying, your life will change for the best. So let's watch the interview.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, well, why would have Nazism spread the way it did? You know, people think, well, that's all top down. It's not top down. There's a part of people that are all these people who informed on Kate Berbelsing.
Well, didn't Goebbels say that the way to get vast numbers of people to go along with what you want to do is to terrify them?
Yeah, you can
hold
do that.
a grip of terror over them.
Oh, yeah, but...
And in a way, that's what Putin's now doing with the Russian people, where he's going back now into a position of they're all trying to get us, they want to attack us, they want to take us over. He's terrifying his people to rally support for what at the moment is a conflict he has started, which is not going the way he assumed.
Well, the most, what would you say, the wisest commentators on totalitarian states, like Solzhenitsyn, and many psychological commentators, Jung was a good example of that, made a very straightforward case that you can't have a totalitarian state unless every single person is willing to lie about everything all the time. And you can think about that as top down because the leaders lie too, and they also enforce punishments if you don't lie. But then you can also think about it, the totalitarian spirit is replicated at every level of the society. And so in a truly totalitarian state, husbands lie to their wives and parents lie to their children. And the totalitarian state is actually the grip of the lie. And so, and people will certainly go along with that. I mean we're seeing that emerge here with cancel culture. It's like lie or else.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, well.
And the Russian people will be bombarded all the time with state media propaganda and will be buying into a lot of what Putin is saying.
Yeah.
There's one thing I really do not appreciate about Piers Morgan. When he asks you a question, he doesn't give you the time to respond. He just interrupts you and start asking more and more questions. Sometimes you wonder who is the guest and who is the host, because I believe in journalistic ethics, the host asks the questions and gives the guest enough time to answer the questions. You don't ask a question, and when someone is trying to give a response to your question, then you just interject or interrupt the person and start talking. Piers Morgan is fond of that. If you have watched his videos or if you have watched his interview, he's always like that. I have watched him for quite a long time. I think many years when he was a co-host on the popular show, Good Morning Britain.
How does this war end, do you think?
We're going to find out this winter. Well, I know what I would do in his shoes. I'd wait till the first cold snap and shut off the taps.
Right.
Well,
because
of course he's going to do that.
He's got the control over the energy.
Of course he's going to do that. He's already warned the West with his insistence that maintenance problems were necessary and the pipelines had to be shut down.
Do you think he will use a nuclear weapon?
If necessary, he'll use a tactical battlefield weapon.
Even
Yes.
if it starts World War III?
It won't, probably.
Why? Because we wouldn't respond?
What's in it for us?
If you let him do it and get away with it, where does that end? Then you are into a Hitler analogy.
Look, you can get yourself in a situation, no problem, where there's no good outcome. We're trying to do that right now on every front we can possibly imagine. We can easily get ourselves in a situation where it's hell this way and hell that way. That's highly probable.
Well, should the Ukrainians give the Russians anything? When I was over there recently interviewing President Zelensky, what I was struck by was everybody I met in Kyiv, the capital city, were utterly resolute. Don't give them an inch of our land.
Yeah, well, I can't speak to that because I don't know what the preconditions for peace might be. But I do know that naive notions that the Russians are going to lose somehow, or that we're going to win, I just don't understand. I don't understand that. Well, what do you mean we're going to win? What are we going to win here exactly?
Well, I guess a victory would be that the Russians retreated from Ukraine.
With Ukraine in ruins.
Right.
Well,
with large
okay,
parts of
fine.
it.
That's a hell of a victory. Like, I think Putin could manage that because I think he could tell his people, and I think they might buy it. It's like, we accomplished our objective. We devastated Ukraine and we kept it out of the hands of the West. And that's not great. It's not what we had hoped for, but it's better than the alternative. And I think they would buy that. And I think when Putin went into Ukraine, I thought a bunch of things, which I made a YouTube video about that people criticized like mad. I thought, okay, well, what's happening here? Oh, I see. His end game for failure is that Ukraine is left in a smoking ruin. Oh, that's a victory.
Dr. Jordan Peterson is a very clever person. He knows what people might do if they are pushed to the wall. Remember, he's a psychologist, right? So he has studied a lot of people. And one thing the West is misunderstanding about Russia is that if Russia is going down, they will do whatever it takes to drag as many people as they can with them. And remember, this is war, okay? This is war. And in war, everyone wants to win. Nobody wants to lose. So people do whatever it takes to win our battle, to win our war. And same with Russia. When Putin says that he is going to lose the war, he will do whatever it takes to win. And if he's not going to win, he is going to drag along as many people as he can. That is how it is.
So then he can lose with impunity.
Right.
So how can we win? We can't win against Vladimir Putin anyways, because you cannot win against someone you cannot say no to. Period. And we can't say no to Putin because we sold our soul for his oil and gas. And we did that to elevate our moral stature in relationship to saving the planet. And so here we are, facing a very dire winter, hoisted on the petard of our own foolishness and moral presumption. We're saving the planet. We'll see. I don't think so. It doesn't look like it to me. And this is the most catastrophic issue here. Assuming that we're facing an environmental crisis of planetary proportions, which is not something I buy, by the way, assuming we are, well, then I would imagine that you would put in place measures that would ameliorate that problem instead of exacerbating it. But all the measures you're putting in place are actually making the environmental problem worse. So how is that even vaguely acceptable? And I look at that and I think, oh, I see. It's just like George Orwell said about middle-class socialists 50 years ago. It's not that you love the planet, it's that you hate humanity. So, well, have at her, boys and girls, and we'll see what happens this winter. And it's very terrifying to me.
It is.
Especially here, because your energy prices have gone way out of control, and that's going to hurt a lot of poor people, and certainly around the world as well. The World Bank already estimated that we've put 350 million people into what they call food insecurity. 350 million. That's 3 times as many as the communists managed to kill. Maybe we can manage that in a winter. But the planet has too many people on it anyway, so, That's just poor people.
I love this guy. I really love this guy. Right. He knows how to put a message across. He knows, when you watch him answer questions from interviewers, he elaborates more in such a way that even a kid can understand. He mentioned that a win for Ukraine is Ukraine in ruins. And it's right, because if there's one thing about wars, is that no one wins. Everyone loses, right? War is like a lose-lose. Well, except for those that sells tankers and bullets and bandages. Those ones, they make money. But those that are really engaged in the fighting lose. Because even if Russia has to pull out from Ukraine right now, Ukraine is in ruins. Ukraine has been destroyed. The economy of Ukraine has been affected. The people have been affected. Ukrainians are now refugees in Europe. Not to talk about the psychological trauma many of the Ukrainians will be going through. A lot of people have died. So there's no way for Ukraine to declare itself as their victor. There's no way for Ukraine to declare victory over this battle, because even if they say they won, they still lose. And same goes to Russia. If Russia pull out right now, there will be so much talk about Russia. Just imagine the shame and the disgrace that Putin is going to bear. Dr. Jordan Peterson made one particular point that Putin can claim that his main objective was to keep Ukraine away from NATO and EU, was to quote unquote denazify Ukraine. And that objective has been achieved. Ukraine can no longer join NATO nor EU. So, mission accomplished. And many Russians will believe it. So you can see how difficult this whole situation is. So my brothers and sisters, what do you have to say about this interview? Is there any point made by Dr. Jordan Peterson that really resonate with you? Share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. And also, if you have any particular story that you would like us to cover on this show, kindly send it our way through any of our social media platforms, and we shall gladly discuss about it on this show. You can also support us with $1 or more through the crowdfunding website Patreon, or send it directly to us through our personal PayPal account. You have no idea how far your support and donations will take us. We shall really, really appreciate it. So, thank you very much for watching this video, and see you in the next one. Bye.